Welcome to the Rjl Bia application tutorial for the iPad. I'm Dr. Ryan Bentley, the founder and creator of biaeducation.com. If you do not have this software on your iPad, simply go to the iTunes store and then type in Rjl Sciences and make your purchase there. It's approximately $150. Once you load it, the very first thing that you need to do is go to the application. Simply click it, and then it starts to load. Once it loads, the very first thing that you need to do is go to Settings. In Settings, you need to click on Databases. As you're in Databases, you want to go down to the bottom there where it says Create New Database. So you come in, you type your database, then hit Save. That database is what is active. You can always come back into Settings. If you have multiple databases, let's say you have different clinics and you're using this iPad for different things, you can simply make a different database and just click it. If you want to delete it, you cannot delete one that is checked. You can delete the other one that is not checked. So you can come right here and hit delete. So now you only have one database. If you want more, you can do more. Have at it. The next thing that you want to do is hit the back button, and then in Settings, so you're still in Settings, you go right up here to Body Composition. In Body Composition, there's a number of things that you want to make sure that you have applied within this settings. First thing that you want to do is go to Body Composition, and you want to select all body types. The reason why I recommend doing all body types because it pretty much accounts for almost all of these equations automatically for you. So you don't have to go back in your mind saying, oh, what equation set did I use with this patient? Did I use the N-Haynes or did I use the obese? It will accommodate for you. There are some little nuances with regards to what the graphs look like when you switch from an N-Haynes to an obese equation set. It does that automatically when the BMI changes from a BMI of 30, which is considered obese, to a BMI of 29.9. It's going to start using the N-Haynes. So your graphs are going to change drastically. So again, I go more in depth with regards to that in the biaeducation.com tutorials. So you can go there and review some more of that information. So once you've selected all body types, you come down to the BMR formulas. I like using the BMR formula based off of fat-free mass. Fat does have a little bit of metabolic activity, but in general it doesn't impact the body as a whole. I like using a fat-free mass because that accounts for your skeletal muscle, your organs and tissues, and when you're doing that, what is metabolically active? Your muscle mass. So it's important to use the fat-free mass. That's why I like using that one. You can use any of the other ones, but again, my recommendation is using the BMR based off of estimated fat-free mass. Next, you want to come down to target weight method. I like using the Ham-Y ideal weight equation because again, using it based off of the targeted BMI, I don't find is as accurate with patients. For example, I'm 5'9", 175 pounds and pretty fit. However, if I was 5'9", 220 pounds, linebacker in the NFL or running back, whatever, and I'm solid muscle, I'm going to be considered obese. Right now at 5'9", 175 pounds, I'm considered overweight. So the target weight method is going to be altered based off of the BMI. I'm telling you what, I do not look very healthy when I'm 145, 150 pounds. So again, I like using the Ham-Y ideal weight equations. The new software, the BC4, does accommodate for this in getting rid of the BMI. Still has it in there, but it has a fat-free index, which is a great tool to use. After that, you come down and you see the profile fields. In the profile fields, you have body measurements. What that does, it allows you, if you take body measurements such as wrist circumference or hip versus weight circumference, you can enter that data, and then as you check your patients, you'll be able to show graphically how that's changing on them. So again, a lot of you are taking those type of measurements. I recommend having it in there. If you don't want it in there, you can't enter the information if you check it off. It won't even show up. Same thing with blood pressure. It will not show up on the profile fields. However, if you want them, click them. The blood pressure, I think, is important to monitor and measure because, again, for every pound of fat that someone has, they have 200 miles of blood vessels. Fluid dynamics and simple physics tells us if you narrow a tube, you increase the resistance, or if you lengthen a tube, you increase the resistance. So the more fat someone has, the more tubes they have, essentially, which increases the resistance, which is why blood pressure will go up a lot of times in people that are obese and people with metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. Again, more on that in the BIAeducation.com modules. Next, you can come down and they have certain blood chemistries such as cholesterol profile, hemoglobin A1C, and sugars. So you can enter those and it will create a graphical representation of that information. Next, you come down to weight, and it has pounds or kilograms. You can simply just check which one you like. I use pounds. Height, my wall chart uses inches, so I use inches. You can do it feet in inches. You can also do it in centimeters. Whatever your preference is, you decide what you want to use, but be consistent. So again, that's up to you, and it's based off of your preference. So that sums up everything in settings with regards to body composition. So I want you to come up here and hit the back button. And once you hit the back button, you also come down and you have reporting options. In the reporting options, you can change those options and generate different types of reports. You can customize it for what you want. If your patients are not interested in references, then uncheck it. Rjl puts in references backing up the data and the information they have. So if you have someone that's an electrical engineer, someone that's very knowledgeable with regards to health, you may want to check references. Average ranges, some people may want those, some people may not. Some people you want to give definitions, some people you may not. Some people you may want to enter the diet and exercise, or not. You just simply check it. When it comes to test summaries, I always have all of them on there. I like fueling my patients with information, so the more information they have, the better off they are, in my opinion. Whether they read it or not, I let them determine that. At least I feel good because I gave it to them. Then your profile fields, you got full history table, or a difference table, what happened between the simple tests, or no history table. I like having a full history table. And then also the report cover page. On the report cover page, you can enter in the name of your report. So let's say weight loss is RS, and you just type that in there, weight loss, that type of thing. Enter that information in there. Next, you want to enter your name and title. Then you come down to company name. So what is your office name? Then the address and phone number. And that's what's going to show up at the top of the reports. So customize that the way that you want to. And that pretty much covers it for reporting options and settings. And the last thing that we haven't covered in settings is about Rjl systems. And that just gives some more information about them, terms and conditions. So you hit the back button. And now we're going to be leaving settings. Right here you can go to resources, and this just gives you a little bit more information that Rjl has put together for you. Just some videos and just information in general. So you can use that for yourself. They also have a document on there and then frequently asked questions. Next we have databases. Databases are so important because that's where you enter your patient's information. So you simply click the plus button up at the top right, and then you enter in your patient's information. So for me, I'm going to enter my name as Ryan. Subject ID, you do not have to put anything in there, but if you number your patients, then you can simply put that number in there. Birth date, we'll just leave it as May 26th, 1976. Gender, male. And then right here, you really can't see it, but this is frame size. And what the frame size is are they large, small, or medium framed? How you determine that is you simply have the patient take their left hand, take their thumb and middle finger and wrap it around their right wrist. If the fingers just touch, if the fingertips just touch, they're medium framed. If they overlap, they're considered small frame. And if there's a gap between the tips of the thumb and middle finger, then they are considered large frame. It's a great way to determine that. It's nice and easy. Now you hit save. So the profile is created successfully. So now you see here my patient shows up. Next up at the top you'll see this search button. You simply click the search button and then you can type in the beginning of the patient's name and you can bring it up right away. So once you have this populated with all your patients, you'll be able to search real quickly. So right here I just click on Ryan Bentley. And now we want to be able to enter information under this profile. You hit the plus button, and now it brings up everything. So we can hit the inches, the profile. You can see that for the profile. That's required. Say 69 inches. 175 pounds. It's got me at 39 years old. That's a lie. I'm actually 38, so I made myself older. And then here, you have to select activity level because that's going to determine the daily energy expenditure. So for me, it's heavy. Some people may be exceptional where they're an elite athlete. I would not put it unless they are like training for the Olympics, they're a collegiate athlete, that type of thing. Most of us that are working out every day, doing some good routines, we're probably heavy. Couch potatoes are going to be very light. So again, you just kind of determine that based off of that information. And then you can see the target weight there. It has me at 160 pounds. Again, I still think that's a little for what I want to achieve. Body measurements, let's say you just type in 18. Shoulders, we'll say 39. Waist, 32. Hip, 32. And then wrist, I don't know, let's say 8 inches. Okay, so you have that information. You can come here, you can enter systolic blood pressure. We'll do 120 over 80. Then you can enter in the information here. 60, hemoglobin A1C, make it 5.2. Cholesterol 180. HDLs, we'll say 68. 100 for the LDLs, and triglycerides, we'll say 78. Okay, so now I have all that information entered. You have over here the comment section. So let's say the patient came in right after working out, and I want to note that. I don't recommend that your patient come in right after working out because I think it changes the data. Fasting after workout. So then you have a note to yourself that you can make sure that you stay consistent, or if they're not going to work out anymore, at least you have that note there that you can say, okay, these results seemed a little different because they did change something that was going on. Again, you could change the default type of equations that are sitting there. So let's say this patient has HIV. Bam, I can click the HIV equation set because that does not accommodate for it in all body types, because there's not a place for you to select that this patient has HIV. So again, I do see that in the past. So then you can say, do you want to change this equation set for current test or future test? The last thing, with your RJL device, you're measuring the electrical resistance and electrical reactance. So let's say 468 for the resistance, and the reactance, we'll say 80. And then you simply click View Results. Okay? So now with this View Results, we have this information in the graphs. And you can see it. So this is the template that you see right away. Then you can click here over on the top part, you can see where it says Graphs. Click Graphs. And this is where you determine what you want to have printed. So if you look down at the bottom, you can see the different type of graphs that you want to include in the report. You just can't highlight it with your finger. You actually have to go down below and make it and click Include in Report. So you see how it turned green? Include in Report, Include in Report, Include in Report. So you have all that information. I like doing the history because you can see on subsequent tests how things are changing very graphically. Patients love it. It's great information to have. So I have all that information there on which ones I want to include. Again, actually click the one on the bottom and make it turn green. Diet and exercise. Let's say I want to lose 2 pounds a week. This is going to determine, this is the caloric intake I need to do based off of my activity level, and I need to burn an extra 571 calories per day. That's what I need to add to my regimen based off of my physical activity. And then here in diet, it gives information of here's what a breakfast, a lunch, a dinner, and your snacks can look like. Also, you could print off in the report the exercises. And again, you do this and you customize this in settings. Otherwise, it won't print it off if you don't have it turned on for exercises. So it can give your patients ideas of, okay, I need to add or burn an extra 500 calories. Well, I can simply do yoga, hatha yoga, at 529 calories for 30 minutes. Anyways, you get the idea here. So this just kind of gives a print off so your patients have some extra information. And then you get this compare chart where you can compare things very quickly side by side. Great graph to have. Now you see this forward button and hit generate report. Okay, now that's done reporting. You can see my comment, fasting after workout. And now you'll see all the graphs and everything that I wanted, that I checked to have in this report. The diet and exercise information is in there. I also have definitions. Tells you what are carbohydrate foods, some examples. Again, you may want to customize this just based off of your preference and also how much ink and paper you want to use in your office. And then lastly, you can see right here in the top left, again the forward button here, you can email the PDF or you can hit print PDF. So you hit that PDF button, bam, you can email it to yourself, you can email it to the patient, and it'll come to you in a PDF form. You can also save the draft, and then you can also hit print, and then you select your printer. And one last thing that I want to show you is this pencil button at the top right. You can click on that and you can hit edit patients, and again you can come down and edit that patient. And that is it. I hope this tutorial was beneficial and helpful for you. Thank you for your time. God bless.